Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm going to talk about the very best cards that can be paired with the Chase Sapphire Preferred for building out an excellent wallet setup. Now, why is this such an important topic? Well, this card right here is almost constantly named one of the best beginner travel cards. In fact, I think it's probably the best overall myself. However, what nobody talks about is what happens after you get this card. Where do you go next? And how do you offset some of the real weaknesses that the Sapphire Preferred has so you can keep enjoying great travel benefits and getting the most possible out of the spend that you already do? I have 5 credit cards to share with you today, and they each target a very specific weakness in the Sapphire Preferred that with them can then be turned into a strength in your wallet setup. There is something in here for everybody. So let's waste no more time and dive right on in. Let's start by laying a good foundation and just talking through the Sapphire Preferred, what the biggest benefits are and what the weaknesses of this card are that mean that you have to add some partners around it to really start doing well in your wallet. Well, first of all, the card has a $95 annual fee, which isn't a lot as far as travel cards go, which is why it's basically considered a good beginner card, but doesn't really punch with the best of the best travel cards out there. However, beginners love it because it does earn 5% back on any travel booked through the Chase Travel Portal, 3x back on dining, online grocery shopping, and streaming services, 2x back on travel booked directly with brands, and then 1x back on everything else. There are 4 key benefits that come ingrained on this card. The first is every single Chase point you earn, well, when you redeem that through travel, you get a 25% boost on the value of those points. You also get a $50 hotel credit applied to your first hotel booking inside of Chase Travel, which basically takes the cost of holding this card from $95 down to $45, which is a really easy to redeem benefit and a very fair price for this card. You get primary rental car insurance, and I include this as a benefit personally because it is a key part of the card, but some awesome transfer partners with Chase, especially if you like to travel within the United States like I do. Some of my favorites here are United, Southwest Airlines, and of course, World of Hyatt. Now there are some weak spots though, and this is what I really want to focus on because we're going to turn these weaknesses into strengths with the other cards on this list. The first weakness on this card is that it only earns 1x points back on non-category purchases. If you know credit cards, you know that 1x isn't going to get you very far. The second thing that I don't really like is that this card has no elevated gas category and no elevated grocery category, which are really big spend areas for a lot of people and some real missed opportunity if you just hold the Sapphire Preferred. Finally, this is true for a lot of general cards, but you're not going to get any airline or hotel specific benefits when holding it. So I've got a few options on this list that can help solve that as well. The cards that I'm about to share with you are really strategic for specific reasons. There are 3 ways that you can attack the different weaknesses that the Sapphire Preferred has. The first way is that you can build a setup that just earns you more Chase Ultimate Rewards points coming in the door. The second way is you can look to attack that 1x back that the Sapphire Preferred earns and then improve that by adding a different point currency into the mix and at least getting 2x back on every non-category purchase. I'll talk about that with card number 3. Finally, you can look to really double down on some of Chase's key transfer partners and focus on specific cards that will really make some incredible redemption opportunities for you if you like using those specific brands. We'll talk about that in cards 4 and card number 5. However, let's start by talking about cards number 1 and number 2 together on my list. These 2 cards, of course, are building out the Chase trifecta by adding card number 1, the Chase Freedom Unlimited, and then card number 2, the Chase Freedom Flex to complete the Chase trifecta. The Freedom Unlimited earns 5% on Chase Travel, 3% on dining and drugstores, and then it earns 1.5% back on every other purchase you make. And that's the category right there that I want to focus on because it offsets the 1x back that the Sapphire Preferred earns and helps cover up for that weakness. Now on the surface, this card is a really easy fit. It has no annual fee, which means you're not increasing the total annual fee load of your setup, keeping that really light and flexible. And while it's advertised as a cashback card, Cashback is actually given to you and earned in the form of points, which then can be moved from your Freedom Unlimited onto your Chase Sapphire Preferred with just a few clicks inside of your Chase app or on the Chase website, and then all of those 1.5x cashback purchases instantly become Chase Ultimate Rewards points, which can then be redeemed for travel if that's what best fits you. Now, I get this a lot. 1.5x may seem to be a really incrementally small improvement off of the 1x that the Sapphire Preferred earned. And yes, on the surface, in small purchasing amounts, it's not much of a difference. However, when you're spending on these cards regularly for years at a time, it makes a really big difference. Not to mention, most people overlook that the true value of the points in the spending that you're doing is more than 1.5x, because remember, the Sapphire Preferred gets a 25% multiplier on every point that you earn, effectively meaning that 1.5x on the way in the door can become 1.875x on non-category purchases for everything you make on your Freedom Unlimited. The math on that is simple. You take the earnings of the card on the way in at 1.5x, multiply by 1.25, which is the boost that you get through the Sapphire Preferred, and that equals 1.875 effectively on every purchase you make. The Freedom Flex is effective for many of the same reasons. It does have a lot of frustrating overlapping categories, still earning 5% back on Chase Travel, 3% on dining in drugstores, and then 1% on everything else. You really won't use those categories because they're already covered for you by the Freedom Unlimited. However, where the Freedom Flex makes its inroads is in the 5% rotating categories. You'll get 5% back on some really common rotating categories up to $1,500 of spend in the categories combined every quarter or 3 months. All you have to do is go into the app, activate the categories, and you're instantly earning 5%. Now, some people say adding 3 cards is a little bit of a hassle, but I find that the real world experience of only carrying 3 cards, 2 of them being cards without an annual fee, and the earnings potential by keeping all of your point currency in Chase Ultimate Rewards points really makes it a pretty easy setup to keep track of and manage, especially considering that some people out there run many more credit cards in their wallet for only tiny incremental gains compared to what you get with the Chase Trifecta. A lot of people could stop the video right here and be very happy with that. However, for those of you who are interested in squeezing a little bit more out or want to attack a different weakness in the Sapphire Preferred, let's move on to card number 3. Card number 3 that pairs really well with the Chase Sapphire Preferred is the Capital One Venture X. The specialty of this card is in 2 things. First of all, it attacks the weakness of just the 1x back on the Sapphire Preferred and replaces that because the Venture X earns 2x miles on non-category purchases and also has some pretty nice elevated categories as well. The second biggest thing that this card does though is it opens the door to some premium travel perks and benefits, which can get really good if you're interested in maximizing your spend to be redeemed for travel. Now, I have to give a lot of credit to Call Me Neo, who commented this idea on the channel as a really good partner for the Sapphire Preferred, just saying, couldn't you add the Venture X and stop there? And essentially bringing up the fact that you really can just pair these 2 cards together and call it a day. In fact, that's a core part of the strategy that I'm running right now, and I have to say from personal experience, it's been a really smooth ride. The Venture X carries a $395 annual fee. However, I'm super value oriented myself, and I really don't chalk that annual fee up to being very weighty at all. There's a $300 travel credit, which if you travel a couple times a year, it's going to be wiped out very easily. And then the card puts 10,000 miles into your account after your account anniversary every year. 10,000 Capital One miles are valued at $100, meaning essentially the card pays you $5 to hold it. Plus you get a ton of extra premium travel benefits that the Sapphire Preferred really doesn't bring to the table. These specific benefits include Priority Pass, Escape Lounges, and Capital One Lounges, President Circle status through Hertz, and a TSA PreCheck or Global Entry credit, which again, the Sapphire Preferred doesn't have. Why I personally love this is it adds a whole other enhanced travel dynamic to my strategy, so I'm really tapping into some of the best benefits you can possibly get from a general travel credit card, And I swipe this card all the time, knowing it earns 2x miles back on non-category purchases, and then I can focus my Sapphire Preferred spending on the areas that it really excels. I personally put more spend on my Venture X, so I never feel like I'm running low on miles there. However, I still do enough dining out and purchases on streaming services on my Sapphire Preferred that I can keep up the balance of ultimate rewards points, so I never feel like I'm too low in either currency. However, one negative of running this setup is that you are diversifying those point currencies, and sometimes it's nice to have all of your earnings into one ecosystem. So when you have a trip you want to book, you know you can put the most points possible directly from one currency into paying for as much or all of that trip. Let's look at card number 4 here, which is the hotel lover's secret weapon. And this is adding the World of Hyatt credit card. This directly addresses the strategy of going for another credit card to pair with your Sapphire Preferred that directly enhances one of the transfer partners that Chase is so well known for. Now, obviously, I need to preface this whole section by saying if you don't plan on staying at World of Hyatt properties, this strategy probably isn't going to be the best one for you. However, if you can make that work in your travel planning, this probably is going to be an option to at least consider because it's such an overpowered part of the Chase setup right now, and there's really a great opportunity to create some incredible experiences around these two cards. The World of Hyatt credit card adds a $95 annual fee into your wallet. You'll earn up to 9x points at Hyatt stays, 4x of which are from the credit card itself, 5x being a member of the World of Hyatt Rewards program. You'll earn 2x points on dining, flights, transit, and gym memberships before earning 1x back on everything else. Not a lot of extra categories in there, but that's not the focus of this strategy. The benefits of this card are that you get one free night in a category 1 through a category 4 property just for holding the card. You'll also earn one additional free night each year if you spend at least $15K on the card. With those category 1 to 4 redemptions, you can book something like the Hyatt Regency Grand Cypress Resort in Orlando, where a room in cash would typically cost between $200 and $300 per night. Now that's a really good redemption value, especially considering that the card again is only $95 to hold. You'll also get automatic Discover status, which is Hyatt's lowest status, but still does come with preferred room selection and late checkout options. Why this pairs especially well is that some people simply get Chase cards just to use the ultimate rewards points for World of Hyatt redemptions. Chase points are so valuable when transferred over to World of Hyatt. For example, at the Hyatt Regency in Maui, a cash price for a king room goes for about $630 a night. The same room can be booked for points for 35,000 points a night, and that puts this at about a 1.8 cent per point redemption. This means if you spend on the Chase Sapphire Preferred and focus that spending in the 3x back on dining, and then transfer that out to Hyatt to redeem for that cool redemption property in Hawaii, that's a 5.4% valuation on every dollar in the dining category that you spend. I personally made an all-inclusive Hyatt redemption myself this year, where instead of paying $2,008 for 4 nights at an all-inclusive property in Mexico, I instead transferred 84,000 Chase points over to World of Hyatt and got myself a nice 2.39 cent per point value there. The cool strategy that I see in play by pairing the Sapphire Preferred with the World of Hyatt card is to just do your normal spending on the Sapphire Preferred and then take advantage of that one free night coming on the World of Hyatt credit card. And each year, that probably opens up a vacation stay for 2 to 3 nights where you can redeem your free night for one of them. And then just from the Sapphire Preferred earnings and Hyatt points being so valuable, probably tack on a second, maybe a third night for free in an award booking. And there you've got a free 3-night stay at a beautiful property that you can look forward to every single year. The obvious downside of this setup though is that while that will work very well, you'll still probably need to add a couple more credit cards, maybe the Chase trifecta, to keep your points coming in on a consistent basis because these two alone can't function effectively just by themselves. Now last, but definitely not least, a great card to pair with the Sapphire Preferred is the United Explorer card. Now you could try this strategy with a few of the other more expensive annual fee United cards. However, I like the Explorer card best from a value side, and there's a few reasons why. This card has a $0 introductory welcome offer annual fee before it bumps up to $95 in year 2 and beyond after that. It earns 7x on United flights, 4x on United hotels, 2x on other United purchases before getting you 1x back on everything else. Now, why I prefer the United Explorer card with the Sapphire Preferred compared to some of the other United credit cards are, it really has the best balance of annual fee compared to a lot of strong benefits that are really going to enhance your flying experience. First of all, the United Explorer card opens up extra award availability on United flights. You also get free checked bags, leading to some potentially considerable savings there, and priority boarding, which I find to be really helpful, so you're not at the very back of the plane and risk having your carry-on luggage having to be checked and then picking that up at the baggage claim later on at the end of your trip. You get 2 United Club Lounge passes a year, which is really incredible for a $95 credit card. And you also get a TSA pre-check or global entry credit. Now, first of all, this is one of my favorite airline cards on the market for the price you have to pay compared to all of those benefits that I just mentioned that you get. But the reason that this pairs so well with the Sapphire Preferred is that United is a transfer partner of Chase's. So again, you can enact the strategy that you would use with Hyatt in that you earn points on the Chase Sapphire Preferred, send them over to United, and then get all of the benefits and extra perks with your United card when redeeming your points for flights through United. However, adding just this card is not going to cover your essential earnings categories enough to give you a good overall return on spend. Again, a quick fix to this is to refer to the first 2 cards that I talked about in this video here and add those 2 Chase Freedom cards to complete the Chase trifecta, and then bring in the United Explorer card as well. If I were a moderate to frequent traveler using United, I would seriously consider the Explorer card as a must-add in my wallet if I already had the Sapphire Preferred to start with. Now in this video, I hope you see that I tried to include something for everybody. You have your cards in the Freedom Unlimited and the Freedom Flex that earn more points in your Chase ecosystem. And with those points, you can go out and then do more. You have a card in the Venture X that takes you into a totally different ecosystem. However, with its 2x miles back on every purchase, creates a really simple duo, and you get some of the premium travel benefits that you're missing out on with the Sapphire Preferred. Finally, I took some of the best transfer partners in World of Hyatt and United, and then specifically targeted ways to bring a few more perks into your trips if you enjoy using those brands. Which of these 5 options do you personally consider to be the best possible pair? Let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.